Hello, this is Diane from Diane Abroad. Happy Sunday. It's Sunday, the 4th of August. I'm in Italy. I have a hopefully brief podcast for you today that really talks about this little village where I am located for a week, and also about the language and the challenges of language. But first, I'm going to talk about this little village. Now, I'm staying in an Airbnb B&B. That is to say, it's a bed and breakfast through Airbnb. This building, this house, purchased by Andrea, a young Italian man 10 years ago, is 5 stories high. I'm on the 3rd story. And I have a big, beautiful bedroom and a big window and a nice private bathroom. And every morning at 8 o'clock, I go up 2 flights of steps to breakfast. Breakfast is prepared by Andrea's mother, whose name is Olga. I get coffee, orange juice, fruits of all kinds, jams of all kinds, yogurt, and a variety of tasty, tasty pastries. And Olga and I try to have conversation. The first morning, we had virtually no conversation because she was typing in her Google translation, but what came out was garbled. So we couldn't communicate on anything the first day. The second day, I go up at 8 o'clock, 2 flights up for my fabulous breakfast, and she phones a friend who talks to me. I get on the phone with her friend, and her friend says to me, Olga wants to know when she can clean your room. And I said, you can clean at 11 o'clock today because I'm going out. And Olga hears that. Olga talks back, and so we have this challenging phone conversation. The third day, Andrea shows up at breakfast, and he has broken English as well. And so we struggle through conversations. Meanwhile, I say to Olga, Duolingo, which is an app I use to help me learn Spanish, for example. And it's a free app that I recommend to everyone. It's not only Spanish, but all kinds of languages, and it's the approach. I'll digress on that. The approach to learning on Duolingo is like five approaches. That is, you read, you speak, you hear, and you type. So that's 4 ways in which to learn the language. So I'm recommending that to her. Meanwhile, I have this conversation with Andrea. It's not easy, but we have this conversation, and this is what I find out, that he bought this building in this historical district of the village 10 years ago. Now, this historical district of the village was mostly industrial and commercial. And when he bought this building 10 years ago, it was all, it was in disarray. So he worked over the years to improve it. The building was built in 1700. So I asked him over a period of time, given our challenging languages, if he had to adhere to any historical, what I would call covenants, when he was remodeling this building. And he said no, because the building was built in 1700 and therefore is not considered historical. Yeah. You heard me. The building was built in 1700 and therefore it is not considered historical. He was not required by law to adhere to any requirements of the historical district. However, if the building had been built in 1600, he would have been limited in the way in which he renovated the building. Gosh, I just am shocked in a way by that. I guess I shouldn't be. Everything is so old here. I love it. He's done a beautiful job, and he's left, some of the brick exposed, and the original brick, and the ceilings are unbelievable. I think that it's like 12 or more foot ceilings, and he's done well by putting electricity in everywhere. Good light, good hot water, very charming. So we went on to talk about the village, and he explained to me that there used to be a cotton factory near the river here, and there were 200 employees at the cotton factory, but it closed down. And so, 2,000 employees at the cotton factory, and the factory closed down. So so many people moved away because of that. And right now, there are 2,000 people who live in this Rossiglione village. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. It's Rossiglione. Rossiglione. And so we had a really good conversation, Andrea and me and myself. In the meantime, I went back the next day and for breakfast, and Olga says, "Good morning" to me. And here she said, Duolingo. And so she and I are having English and Italian lessons every morning. I asked Andrea and Olga a couple of days ago if he could find a bungee cord. Where can I buy a bungee cord? Because I lost my bungee cord. That's a whole nother podcast. But I lost my bungee cord, and I used a short bungee cord to tie my guitar to my medium-sized suitcase, and it helps me then free up an arm to handle my luggage. And he didn't understand bungee cord, so I drew a picture of a bungee cord on a piece of paper, and he said, see. And then we chatted, those are in quotation marks, about the length of the bungee cord. He wanted to know how long, and I said, not too long. I need a short bungee cord, because otherwise my guitar, I didn't tell him this, but the guitar ends up dragging on the ground if it's too long, and I have to try to tie it in knots and shorten it and all of that. But I needed a bungee cord. He said he would get me one. I said, "Where's the store?" And he said, no, I will go and get you a bungee cord. And then I said, okay, good. And then I need to get my hair cut. Is there a beauty salon that you could recommend? And of course that was totally confusing to them. So I talked to them about beauty salon, and I typed it in the Google translation. It just wasn't coming out right. So I showed them, with my hands. I pulled my left hand, my fingers, I kind of pulled my hair out, and I showed, cutting my hair. He said, "Oh, see," but he didn't say anything else. And I thought, well, we've had enough struggle talking about bungee cord. I'm not going to spend all this time talking about beauty salon. And it wasn't an emergency. So that was fine. Anyway, breakfast was over, and I said goodbye to them that day, and I took a long walk along the river and took all kinds of beautiful pictures. And I encourage you to go to my website and click on the art gallery, the photo gallery for this village. But I'll tell you about that later. So I took this long, lovely walk, and then I came home, and came into my room, and it was perfectly clean. Everything was pristine. And I noticed on the desk there's a bungee cord. But it's a perfect bungee cord, but it's like twice as long, maybe 3 times as long as I need it. But there were scissors there. I thought, there must be a way to shorten this bungee cord. So I looked at the ends, and it looks like that bungee cord is really tight in those metal ends, hooks at the end. But I Googled how to shorten a bungee cord. I didn't see anything about how to remove the cord from those metal ends and then cut the cord and then stick it back in. I saw other ways to shorten it, but not to cut it. And I thought, and then the light bulb went on. And the light bulb was, they didn't leave me these scissors to cut the bungee cord. They left me the scissors so I could cut my hair. So they had no idea that I wanted to go to a beauty salon. Well, why would they? Because I showed them with my hands that I wanted to cut my hair. And so what did they do? They left me scissors. Well, I laughed out loud alone in my room. It was so funny. Talk about lost in translation. So what did I do? Went into my private bathroom. I combed my hair, got it wet a little bit like I used to do, like I used to cut my hair before I could afford to go to a salon. And I used those scissors and I trimmed my hair. It was perfect. It was perfect. I cut my hair just like I used to do years ago. And it's fine for now. I mean, it's certainly not professional, but it's fine for now. So today is Sunday. Tomorrow, Monday, I'm going to go back to breakfast and return the scissors and thank them so much for helping me with my hair and my bungee cord. And and Olga and I will have another language lesson. I love the stories that occur. I love what happens to me when I get lost in translation. As long as we all have a sense of humor, it's always funny. This is Diane from Diane Abroad with a Sunday morning podcast, August 4th from Italy. I hope to see you next time on the podcast, and be sure to access the Rossiglione, Italy photo gallery that I have on my website. And share this with your friends, will you please? I'm trying to reach as many people as I can. This is Diane Schindler from Diane Abroad signing off with music written for me by Raphael Javadov.